Welcome to Atlanta Community Profiles, a show about living in Atlanta and purchasing a home here. Atlanta Community Profiles is hosted by Lou Whelan, who will talk to experts who know this ever-changing city and its real estate industry. We'll talk to mayors, community leaders, and residential real estate experts. Now, here's Lou Whelan with this week's Atlanta Community Profiles.
Hello there and welcome to our show. My name is Lou Whelan. I publish the official relocation guides on Atlanta that are distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. We have publications for the metro area, for Inside 285, for Cobb County in partnership with the Cobb Association of Realtors, for North Fulton in partnership with the North Fulton Chamber, and one for Gwinnett in partnership with the Gwinnett Chamber. They're available on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com, and you can view them, you can download them, along with a great deal of other information about the city. And the publications are available in the Chambers of Commerce and Realtors offices at no charge, so please stop by and pick up a free copy. I'm also a commercial realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Georgia Properties. If I can help you with any of your real estate needs, I would be more than happy to. My website is louwhelan.com. That being said, I would like to introduce my guest today. It's General Dr. Daniel J. Kaufman, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, position he has held since July of 2013. Welcome back to the show, General and Doctor.
Thank you, Lou. It's always nice to be here.
Honestly, I've been doing this show for 5 years. I've never had you're the only one that I've ever interviewed at both those distinctions. And first of all, let me start by saying this on the day after Memorial Day. Thank you very, very much for your service to the country. I know you've contributed immensely, and we are extremely grateful for your service.
Thank you. Every day was a privilege.
Let's see. The Gwinnett Chamber is one of the largest chambers of commerce in the United States. Dr. Kaufman, I'll just skip the general doctor. We'll go with doctor for now. Dr. Kaufman is a member of the board of directors, also of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, a member of the board of Explore Gwinnett, a member of the board of the Council for Quality Control, a member of the board of directors for Gwinnett Clean and Beautiful, on the board of the Greater Gwinnett Championship Foundation, Gwinnett Coalition for Health and Human Services, and the Gwinnett Medical Center Foundation, a member of the board of directors of the Community Foundation of Northeast Georgia, and a member of the board of directors of Aurora Theater in Lawrenceville. And he served on the board of trustees of Riverside Military Academy, was founding director of Touchmark National Bank. He is every year named to Georgia Trend's 100 Most Influential Georgians. And on. I could do the whole show with just his bio. He's founding president of the Georgia Gwinnett College in Lawrenceville, and which was the first 4-year public college launched in Georgia in over 100 years. We are grateful to Dr. Kaufman for his service to the country. As we record this show the day after Memorial Day, he was a brigadier general in the United States Army and served as dean of the academic board and chief academic officer at the United States Military Academy at West Point, a position at which he retired in June of 2005. He was responsible for the design and implementation of the academic program at West Point. He's written several books, and we're going to ask him about his latest book today, being Understanding International Relations. And I think that you'll probably get a lot of buyers for that book with understanding the current climate in the country.
Small print, no pictures. Yeah, it's not a bestseller.
Well, yeah, it's not. I'm sure that's extremely interesting. We'll get to that after we finish with your introduction. And it's not his first book. He's also written a book, U.S. National Security Strategy for the 90s. Another one on U.S. National Security, a Framework for Analysis, Democracy, Strategy, and Vietnam, and NATO at 40. Change, continuity and prospects. He graduated from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in 1968, and then he has a Master of Public Administration at the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard and a doctorate in philosophy in political science from the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and International Studies, and he's received a Bronze Star for heroism and 2 Purple Hearts for wounds sustained during combat. He served as special assistant to 3 chiefs of staff of the Army, and he was honored by the British government as an officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. He and his wife, Catherine, are natives of Brunswick, Georgia, and they have 2 children, a daughter, Emily, and a son, David. And the last time you were on the show, my last bio, we have 2 granddaughters. Is that current?
2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons.
2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons now, so
right.
Okay. So, anyway, now I can take a break and he can do the rest of the talking. So.
We're a lot older than we were when you started that, Lou.
So, well, certainly thank you so much for your service to our great country. I know you have sacrificed greatly, and it is a great honor to have you on my show. And, your county has been very successful in real estate prices. Since the low of 2012, there's been a steady upward growth, and the median price of homes sold in last month for combined detached and attached median sales price was $240,000. So out there, if you're listening in California, you might want to grab a plane and come on over because
right.
it's nothing like what your prices are out there. But I prepared a lot of statistics on Gwinnett County, mm-hmm. but instead of me doing it, I'm going to let you do it. And just if you could just kind of give us an overall profile of the county from your paradigm there.
Sure. Of course, as residents of this part of the world know, Gwinnett County was one of the fastest growing counties in the country in the late 80s, early 1990s, and really into the early 2000s, and went from a population of about 150,000 to now 925,000. We're the second most populous county in the state, and will soon be the most populous county in the state. And so it's an area that has been growing dramatically in the last 25 years, and continues to do so. We're still, in terms of absolute numbers, the fastest growing county in the state, not in percentage-wise, of course, because our denominator got a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. But it's, to your point, we have affordable housing and incredible quality schools from kindergarten all the way through medical school, for that matter. So it's a very attractive and dynamic community in which to live, learn, work, and play, and we hope it continues to do that.
So you have, just to name some stats that I pulled off the internet, 50 parks, 10,000 acres of parks. Mm-hmm. 85% of the students who graduate from Gwinnett County are seeking a high education beyond high school.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You have 179,000 students over there, mm-hmm. 437 square miles, and you're celebrating your 200th birthday this year.
This is our bicentennial year. That's correct. We were founded in 1818, named obviously in honor of Button Gwinnett, who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence from Georgia, one of 3. And so we're delighted to be celebrating a year-long celebration, actually, of our bicentennial. But you're right. I mean, Gwinnett has, even despite its large population, more per capita park space than any other county in the state. Our school system is the largest in the state. 1 out of every 10 public school students in the state of Georgia attends a Gwinnett County public school, and yet is recognized as one of the very best urban school systems in the country. So in addition to the quality of life in terms of parks, recreation, entertainment, and affordable housing, it's an incredible school system.
10% of the population of the state resides in Gwinnett County.
Correct.
20% of the residents of the metro area reside in Gwinnett County. The county has a AAA credit rating. You have 120 languages spoken over there. 2,500 businesses are represented by your 2,500 members of the chamber, and 650 foreign-owned businesses.
We are an international community, and we literally recruit around the world to have people, if they're looking to put their North American headquarters somewhere, to bring them to the metro Atlanta area in general and to Gwinnett in particular. So as I tell people, no matter what language you speak, we got somebody in Gwinnett that speaks your language. We have a restaurant that will serve food that you recognize. You're going to feel very comfortable culturally in Gwinnett County.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We're sitting here with Dr. Kaufman, president of the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, and a great honor to have you back on the show. We appreciate all that you do to contribute to our community, our city, and certainly Gwinnett County. And, the two things that seem to be most critical criteria of a community are education and transportation, especially in Atlanta, as fast as we're growing. And recently, the ALT, the Atlanta Link, the Regional Transit Authority, was launched, and you have your own system called Connect Gwinnett Transit.
Correct.
Now, tell us, how will those two entities interact with each other and generate synergy?
As you know, Lou, the legislation that created the ATL empowered it to be the coordinating mechanism, the integrating mechanism for regional transportation systems throughout metropolitan Atlanta. And so they're going to be the clearinghouse, as it were, in terms of connecting all the various parts of metro Atlanta. So we'll still have basically a Connect Gwinnett. It'll still be called Connect Gwinnett, but it will be integrated entirely into the ATL as it emerges in the future. And I think that's really going to be a key to success for this new entity that was just created in the legislative session that ended in April, I guess. And so we're excited about it because we're ready. We've been looking at alternatives for some time now about how we can expand our transportation alternatives, and we think this is a very good approach, which allows local control, county control, local control over routes and all that sort of thing, but is in fact integrated into the larger regional system. So we think it's a very exciting future for transportation throughout the metropolitan Atlanta area.
So I know that I've read that in the past you guys have considered rail, but ATL says no, not too likely. There won't be too much rail going forward.
I think it's going to be, the answer is all the above. It's going to be a mix of bus rapid transit, light rail, and some heavy rail maybe eventually. Heavy rail is obviously very expensive. BRT we call light rail with rubber tires, or light rail itself. Mm-hmm. And so I think as we move forward in the years and decades ahead, what you're going to see is the emergence of a variety of transportation alternatives.
The other element we mentioned was education, and your SAT scores are give you plenty of reason to brag about your education system over there. I think your scores are among the best, well above the national average. Correct. And among the best, and not the best, in the state of Georgia.
Correct. The school system is rightly proud of what it does. I mean, Gwinnett is the most diverse county in the southeastern United States. We have significant representation of every major group, mm-hmm. white, African American, Hispanic, and Asian. Mm-hmm. And yet, despite the demographic changes, or in light of the demographic changes of the last 25 years, the quality of the school system has continued to go up. SAT scores have continued to go up, with traditionally underserved populations representing a significant portion of that student population. And so the public school system and the community do a remarkable job of preparing our young people for the workforce. And as you mentioned, astonishingly, this year we had about 12,000 graduates of Gwinnett County high schools. 11,000 of them are going to college. I mean, it's an amazing success story.
Well, I'm intrigued by your new book, Dr. Kaufman, Understanding International Relations. What motivated you to put that together? And
well,
how tell us how? What?
For those of us who grew up in the good old days of the Cold War, life was pretty simple. I mean, there was the good guys, that was us and our allies, and that was the bad guys, and that was the Soviets and their allies. And, of course, in 1990, 1991, the world changed. Right? I mean, the Soviets gave up. The Soviet Union disappeared onto the ash heap of history. Everything that I thought I knew about how the world worked was now obsolete. All those glorious lectures I used to give on government and politics of the Soviet Union went down to the history department. And so it was a whole new world intellectually for those of us who had been schooled in the Cold War era. And so what we began to think, okay, how do we think about what the world looks like? What is America's role in that world? And then how do we go about doing it? And so it really was the result of the sea change that happened as a result of the end of the Cold War. And what we said was it's going to be a big, fractious world, and you're going to have to, the structures and processes that you see that you think are permanent aren't. And we've seen that in the years since, as major powers come and go, as non-state actors become more prevalent, as other kinds of terrorist groups or whatever actually seize territory, as ISIS did. You got to have new ways to think about how you operate in that world and the kinds of instruments of power that you have at your disposal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I look forward to picking up a copy.
Yeah, sir. I use them as Christmas presents. They make great Christmas presents.
Yes.
Thank you, Lou.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. That sounds extremely interesting. And so getting back to, by the way, if you missed any of the show, it's on my website without commercials, AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com. And so we'd love to talk a little bit about some of the other aspects of Gwinnett County. I know that you're proud of one fact, and I've heard you talk about it at various meetings where you spoke, and that is the extent of the diversification of the population of the county. If you wouldn't mind addressing that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, for a county that 25 years ago was 90% white, today we're minority-majority county. We're about 38% white, 28% African-American, 20% Hispanic, 12% Asian. We are, as I said, the most diverse county in the southeastern United States and one of the 13 most diverse in the country. And so how do you make that kind of diversity work? And what you have to have are points of connection. Otherwise, you're going to have a white Gwinnett, an African-American Gwinnett, an Hispanic Gwinnett, an Asian Gwinnett, and that's not what we want. And so we work hard at the chamber, county government, city officials. Everybody works hard to make sure that, in fact, we are one Gwinnett. And education is obviously a key to that because that's the key to upward mobility, of course, regardless of your personal circumstances. That's why what the public school system is doing is so important. That's why what Gwinnett Technical College and Georgia Gwinnett College are doing is so important to ensure that everybody has the opportunity for a quality education, even at the post-secondary level. And so we viewed our diversity as a source of our strength. And so as I say, when we go around the country and literally around the world, recruiting companies to come and establish their North American headquarters in Gwinnett County, it's a very powerful argument that we are, in fact, a truly international community.
120 languages are spoken in your county.
Correct, in the public schools. Yeah,
I'm having trouble with English.
well,
My grammar.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if English is one of the 120. But again,
prepositions.
Yeah, it helps. It really does help us in economic development because people want to feel comfortable where they go, and it adds to the richness of life. I mean, we have cultural festivals and restaurants and entertainment opportunities that are just you don't find everywhere, and it really does make for a quality of life that's very much more enriched by the diversity of our population.
Let me ask you this question. I usually ask you at the end, but this is the end of this segment. I'm sorry, my producer is saying, no, you have to hold it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. But I'm just about to ask Dr. Kaufman what he's most proud of. I think I know, but I would like to hear him. And so far, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Continue to go up.
Welcome back. I'm sitting here with Dr. Kaufman, who's president of the Gwinnett Chamber, and so many things he's accomplished in his young career.
Thank you for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's getting younger and younger. And I saw him in that lobby, and I said, you just don't seem to ever get any older. And he said, I started old. But Dr. Kaufman, you've accomplished so much in your life, and I just am so impressed by your dedication to learning and achieving. And let me ask you before I ask you what you're most proud of, what is your driving motivation to succeed anyway? How do you address that when people ask you what you have obviously achieved a phenomenal amount in your life, and that doesn't just come natural to people. You have to really work for all those achievements.
Well,
What's your driving
I've been blessed to have lots of opportunities. I appreciate that, Lou. But I've spent basically my entire adult life in public service. And what I discovered when I was a young man was that's what motivated me. Not so much personal gain, much to my wife's disgust, but the service, but the service of others. And there are just boundless opportunities to do that. And so I found throughout the course of my professional career that as long as I was involved in an activity that I felt was benefiting others, then I was all in. And that passion continues. The reason I took my current job is because I was convinced that the Gwinnett Chamber could do for the Gwinnett community what Georgia Gwinnett College had done for higher education. And that is to really be an integrating mechanism, a forum where all the parts of our community can come together and craft a common vision, move forward together. So,
Well, and along that line, let me just ask you, what is in your mind, your greatest achievement? What are you most proud of?
Other than my 4 grandchildren.
Okay, that's
yeah.
obvious. Go without saying.
Yeah. When I left West Point, where I had the privilege of serving for many years, I thought I would never have another opportunity for that kind of service again, and I was wrong because purely fortuitously, the year I was retiring from the Army, leaving West Point, the state of Georgia was looking for the first president of what became Georgia Gwinnett College. It was at that point called Unnamed State College in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and the timing was perfect. I applied for the job and was lucky enough to get it. And so being the founding president of Georgia Gwinnett College, to actually have the opportunity to start with a proverbial blank sheet of paper in terms of how to do public higher education in the 21st century, not in the 17th century, and to do it to meet the needs of metropolitan Atlanta in general and that part of Gwinnett and northeast Atlanta in particular, was just an unbelievable opportunity, and we were determined to make the most of it. I mean, we had some strong ideas about what public higher education ought to be, and we set about doing it. Sometimes we ruffled some feathers because we didn't do things in traditional ways, but we were confident that we were on the right track. And so we opened in 2006, August of 2006, with 118 students, and there are 13,000 on campus today. The need was there. I mean, I can't take credit for that, but we wanted to serve the population that exists in Gwinnett and in that portion of metropolitan Atlanta. And so we did some things very differently. For example, we built all of our classrooms to hold no more than about 25 people. Every faculty member teaches. I make them take roll, account for their students, and if little Johnny's not in class, I expect them to know why. And so you attract people who are passionate, who get into the business because they love to teach. We're not a research institution, and those are very important. I don't mean to denigrate them. But as a teaching college, that's what our mission was, is to teach at the undergraduate level. And a significant portion of that population is underrepresented populations who, given the opportunity and given the support they need, succeed. They get it. They understand how important that opportunity is to change their life. And when you change one student's life, then you change the family's life, and then you change the neighborhood life. Then you've changed the culture's life. And that's what GGC is doing now in public higher education. And others are doing it as well. I give Mark Becker was a great friend at Georgia State. He's doing great things in downtown Atlanta with Georgia State, doing the same kind of thing, providing opportunities for folks, young people, and not so young people, who never thought they'd have the opportunity to get a college degree.
Well, congratulations on your tremendous success and with founding that and overseeing its kind of growth. And you wear so many hats. I don't know how you keep.
Yeah, that one
don't know how you do.
That one was a labor of love, and
amazing,
and continues to be.
I'm sure. Well, my producer once again is giving me the high sign to break. But when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the movie industry, Eagle Rock, and Atlanta media. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the major businesses that have come over there to Gwinnett County since you were on the show last. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm sitting here with Dr. Kaufman, president of the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, and the movie industry in the Gwinnett County supports 200 businesses in Gwinnett County.
Right.
And wondered if you might just elaborate a little bit on. You have two studios, the Eagle Rock and the Atlanta Media Complex.
Right. We Eagle Rock is a television studio. And the largest television studio under one roof in the country is in Gwinnett County. And these are some young entrepreneurs who actually have, it's an old craft distributor warehouse, half of which is basically a beer distributorship, which they own, and they turn the other half of it into a television studio. And they soup to nuts, brand new 21st century television studio. And they are making TV shows in there 4 at a time. They've got 4 different locations in there. And it is just really brings the creative class to Gwinnett, but it also helps lots of other kinds of industries. As you know, if you got to build a set, you got to build it, you got to take it down. You got plumbers, electricians. Same is true for the movie industry. It's a perpetual job machine. It really is. And so we've been delighted, and we've got lots of what we call camera-ready locations that we've identified throughout the county, and so that if a studio or producer is looking for a certain facade or a certain country scene or whatever, we can probably provide it in Gwinnett. And so it's been very gratifying to see how TV and movies have come to Georgia in particular, or in general, and in Gwinnett in particular. Our Atlanta Media Campus is on where the old not still there, the OFS, which was the old Western Electric building there, right as you cross the border into Gwinnett on I-85. And, the Fast and Furious series was made there. Lots of different kind of movies have been made there in Gwinnett. Sully, the story of the airplane pilot who landed the Airbus in the Hudson River. All those indoor scenes were made in Gwinnett County, at Gwinnett Technical College, actually. So it's fun to, you're sort of walking down the street in Lawrenceville, and Tom Hanks is coming the other way. That's kind of a neat community to live in. But it also is, again, a significant aid to our economy.
Another thing that I know you all are proud over there, and I didn't just thought of this in the topic. I had it on my list here, but this is a mile long. We're not going to be able to cover everything, but workforce development is very critical and important. And I know you recognize that and are addressing it. And tell us a little bit about the significance you attach to it, and what are some of the things you're doing.
Yeah, obviously we have to prepare our young people to be competitive in the 21st century economy. So how do we do that? Well, first, you don't wait for them to finish high school and then sort of figure out. So what the public school system has done, what Superintendent Wilbanks and his team have done, is create career academies throughout the high schools in Gwinnett. So we have, for example, an entrepreneurial school in Discovery High School. So young people who think they might want to be entrepreneurs can sort of tailor their high school education along those kinds of lines. We have Art, Culture, and Entertainment Career Academy for those who might want to either perform or be behind the scenes. And so young people can do things that they're interested in. Young people don't quit school because they're dumb. They quit school because they're bored. And so if you can keep them interested, keep them engaged, show them the relevance of that education, then they'll stay with it. They get through high school, then we say, okay, now we've got Gwinnett Technical College, which has an extraordinary array of degrees and credentials for young people who might not want a 4-year degree or might not yet want a 4-year degree. For example, as you know, Mercedes moved its North American headquarters to North Fulton, I guess, in Metro Atlanta. The training for Mercedes mechanics is done at Gwinnett Technical College. Built basically an automotive lab, and is training the maintenance crew, the mechanics for Mercedes-Benz. So that's a pretty good job, I suspect, if you're a young person who likes to work with your hands, likes doing mechanical things. There's also health informatics, as all health records have to be digitized. That's an enormous industry now, transforming all those old paper records into digits and then maintaining them and operating. And so we have a program for informatics, basically they call it. And so we are trying to anticipate what the needs of the workforce are. Interestingly, the second greatest shortage of jobs in Georgia, first greatest is computer programmers, of course, not surprised. Second largest, long-haul truck drivers. Go figure. Not surprising. Think about the Port of Savannah, think about the Port of Brunswick, think about all those containers that need to be on our highways here in Atlanta. They have to get here. And so, but we also got to be careful because 20 years from now, there won't be any long-haul truck drivers. It'll all be autonomous vehicles. So we're trying to think ahead. How do you prepare young people for workforce of the future, not necessarily the past? Same is true in teacher education and nursing education, in performing arts, whatever it is. We think will be appropriate to prepare a young person for the future. And so that's what we're focused on, from middle school, high school, technical college, undergrad, baccalaureate level college.
Mm-hmm. Well, once again, my producer's giving me the high sign over there. Unfortunately, we're going to be back after the break, but we're going to talk a little bit about the CIDs over there, and a little bit how you work synergistically with the Chamber and Partnership Gwinnett and the various CIDs.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We were sitting with Dr. Daniel Kaufman, a war hero, graduate, the greatest honors in the military, and we're certainly proud to know you. And one thing you learned in the military, and my friends in the military all tell me, you learn to work together with people, all kinds of people.
Right.
And you've got a kind of in a way, the CID, between the CIDs, the partnership, and the Gwinnett Chamber, similar kind of parallel.
Right.
How do you string these three divergent entities in a way together for a synergistic outcome?
Great question. Partnership Gwinnett, for those who might not know, is a public-private partnership that does economic development for Gwinnett County. They actually work for me, not for the county, but we do get support from the county, from the cities, from the CIDs. CIDs, community improvement districts, of course, are self-taxing entities, geographically defined, and where local businesses agree to pay an additional tax burden for community-level improvements in whatever area they happen to be in. We have 5 now in Gwinnett. And so how do we work together? Well, first, as I said, Partnership Gwinnett actually works in the Chamber building, and they work for me with very close collaboration with our partners at the county, the cities, the CIDs. The CIDs always have a member of our board of directors. They have a representative on our board, and so they're always in the room. And some of my CFO is on the board of the new Sugarloaf CID, and so we always make sure that we are in collaboration and communication so that we know how to move forward together. CIDs do a couple of things. One, depending on the area that they're in, they can try to do, frankly, refurbishment work. We have some areas in the county, that needed revitalization, and the CIDs, with the resources that they get with those extra tax dollars, do amazing work. The Sugarloaf CID is sort of an anticipatory CID because we've got some very strong ideas about what we want to do in sort of the intersection of this, in the center of Gwinnett, the intersection of Satellite and Sugarloaf Boulevards, really Gwinnett Central. And so it is got plans for what we want to be rather than what we need to fix. Don't need to fix anything. We just want to continue to grow. And so that, and oh, by the way, CIDs are investors in Partnership Gwinnett, and so they sit on the Partnership Gwinnett board. It is a very collaborative and intertwined, I guess, relationship is the best way to describe it. But we are always very careful to ensure that we always know what each other are doing.
Well, you have 16 cities in Gwinnett County, and all of which are doing extremely well, and they are profiled in my magazine, by the way, Atlanta Community Profiles. And
I can vouch for that. It's the best description of all the 16 cities in Gwinnett.
Thank you so much. And you can see why that under the chamber has grown 25% in just the last 2 years, and pretty obvious in listening to Dr. Kaufman here why that's happened, and what a tribute to your leadership. And on the subject of leadership, what's your favorite business book?
You're going to think that's a cop-out, but I'll tell you. It's Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, because he talked about incentives and how people and why people do what they do. And if you understand that, then you can understand business. And so go back to what I regard as the basic primer for economic development and understanding human behavior, which is what business is about, and read Adam Smith.
Your military background prepared you for human behavior. I know some friends of mine were in the military, and I've learned a lot just talking to them about relationships, or was what life is all about.
Right, correct.
So, Dr. Kaufman, what a great, great honor to have you on the show again, and I appreciate all you do for our city. Thank you very much.
Lou, it's always a privilege to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much.